Hello, this is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show. And we're not quite ready to do this broadcast. I got another old laptop to use for a monitor, and it's taking forever to boot up. No, it's probably this. I put some virus checking software on it, and that's probably bogged it down. Gee whiz. It's always something. As one of my fellow YouTubers has always said, there's 6 things that you have to get right to do a YouTube video. And invariably, at least one will be broken. Well, okay, finally, the laptop is up and running. So we're going to go to my channel. The idea is I set this laptop up so that I can watch what's going out. Okay, another program on your computer added next. Oh boy. Okay. Now we'll go to my channel. I thought I had this laptop all set up, but invariably when you want to do what you want to do with it, that doesn't work. God. I was going to do this show at 8 o'clock, but I thought, oh, I'm ready. I might as well start. I'm not ready. Stand by. Okay, this is a little different screen. Stand by. I'm still trying to set up the laptop so I can watch what's being broadcast and watch the chat room. Almost there. A couple of other. Oh, now I lost the mouse. Gee whiz. Okay. It's coming up. It's coming up. I guess I could start over with that. Now I don't want to start over. Probably something else will break if I start over. Okay, come on. All right, see if I'll say something in the chat room. Hello there. And there we go. Okay, that's working. So I think everything is working. What you're looking at is my bench here. And what I'm going to try to do today, word as emphasized is try, is see if an antenna tuner, such as this one here, this is the MFJ model 904H, and I've done a review on this. Typically, these are used for your transceiver to tune the output of the transmitter to your antenna to match it. And of course, the idea is to get the best impedance match between your transmitter, which is typically 50 ohm, and your antenna, which could be anything. So I've got the antenna is my MFJ vertical antenna, 31 foot, and that's what I'm trying to tune. Now, what I did a few minutes ago is I actually ran some tests, and I'll just turn this on for a second. I ran some frequency plots measuring SWR at various frequencies. Let me see if zooming in will do anything here so you can see the display. Okay, there's the display right now. And I've got, it's checking 4 to 6 megahertz with 5 megahertz being in the middle. And I've adjusted the antenna tuner for this frequency to give me the lowest SWR. Yes, want to know about, yeah, this is early. I normally would do these at 8 o'clock, but since I kind of had to set up working, I thought I'd better go ahead and capture it before I screw up something, which I may do anyway. So anyway, as I was saying, so at each The antenna tuners at each frequency, they have to be retuned unless you have an automatic antenna tuner, which this is not. So I went through 3 frequencies, 5 megahertz, 10 megahertz, 15 megahertz, and tuned it to the lowest SWR using the antenna tuner, and then I recorded the settings. And let me back up here. So here are the 3 dials right here for transmitter, antenna, and inductance. And my understanding, and I'm open to comments and whatever, is you tune the inductance first, and then you back and forth on the transmitter and antenna. Now again, this is built for transceiver, and we're going to try to see if it will help at all for hooking it to just a receiver. Now, I've done very crude tests where I hook up a radio through this tuner and just dialed in a frequency and played with the knobs. And basically, I saw little or no effect. But we're going to use some SDR software to visually see if we could see any improvement. Now, it's going to take a while to do this, but it's going to be a short test. So I'm limiting it to 5, 10, and 15 megahertz. So I collected those numbers. I got them in my data book here of the settings that this meter told me where the lowest SWR is at those 3 frequencies. So now I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to disconnect the meter and I will connect to the FIFI SDR, which is over here. Let me see if I can zoom out and you can see it as soon as I get it connected. Okay. Now I also, let me zoom out. Oh, I am zoomed out. Okay. Anyway, watch me knock the, yeah, I can't move it. Okay. Anyway, the FIFI is over there. And the other thing I did when I was collecting this data is I recorded the SWR with the antenna tuner bypassed. There's a switch on the back so you can bypass the antenna tuner. And here's the SWR readings I got. At 5 megahertz, the SWR was 8.42. At 10 megahertz, it was 3.65. And at 15 megahertz, it was 11.95. Now, the antenna I'm using, which is the MFJ antenna, is spec'd to be best at about 7 megahertz. So you can see at 10 megahertz was the lowest that I got. I didn't check it at 7. So anyway, so now we're going to move things around here. Now we've got the antenna tuner hooked to the FIFI. And I'm going to turn off my webcam because it uses a lot of CPU power. And then I'm going to start SDR console and then screen share. Well, I'll do the screen share. Then I'll start SDR console and we'll look and see if the peak amplitude of the signals change any with the antenna tuner in or out and then making the proper adjustments. I don't know if this is a good experiment or not, but it's an experiment. So here we go. So I'm going to close down the camera. Okay, the camera's off now. And then I'm going to screen share. Full screen. So you're going to see this mirror effect. Hello. Number 73. Got to keep remembering to glance over to the chat screen. Okay, I'm going to share this. And you see this echo effect. Now I'm going to go down and start SDR console. Hopefully it won't crash. Okay, so there's actually Radio Australia, and it's coming in. So I guess I got all my connections right. Now, there's a lot of variables here. I've got a couple of antenna adapters to go from the various connectors to the connector, which is a BNC on the FIFI. I've got a short cable to the antenna tuner, and then I've got the cable from the antenna tuner to the antenna, which I'm using. Okay. Now let's go to 10 megahertz or 5 megahertz. Let's start at 5 megahertz, which I think was the last setting I had on the tuner. Okay, we'll go to WWV 5 megahertz. And there it is. Pretty strong signal. It says the peak is minus 25 to 30 dBms. Okay, so I'm going to, that's with the antenna tuner in, and let's see if I've got the right selection. Yeah, so I've got the antenna tuner in, and it's dialed in to what the antenna analyzer told me would give me the lowest SWR. So I'm going to hit the bypass button on the antenna tuner, so it takes the antenna tuner out of the line and see if anything changes. Here we go right now. Definitely changed. Now it's minus 30 to minus 35, where below it was, before it was below 30. Okay, we're going to go back. We're going to put it, antenna tuner back in the line now, and it dropped down about 5 dB, which this is negative dBi, so the smaller the number, the better. So that did show some improvement. Now, before I change to another frequency, I'm just going to tweak each of these knobs. I'm going to leave the inductance knob, control, whatever, alone, because typically you don't change that because that makes an abrupt change, typically. Now, again, do I know what I'm doing? Probably not. So here we go. I'm going to adjust slowly because I noticed when I was using the meter, just barely turning any of these controls made a big change. So I'm just going to slowly turn. It's setting at a 6 right now, the antenna control. Whoa, yeah. Well, that made it worse. So let's go back to 6. Okay, I'm back at 6. Now, the other thing is the signals themselves are varying, conditions are varying, so that's another complication. I'm still kind of, well, still around less than 30 most of the time. Okay, I went up a little bit on the antenna setting, and the signal got worse. Well, there's a minus 20. There we go. Now we got a minus 20. Now, I wasn't watching that closely, but did the waveform change? Let me go back. Let me see if the waveform has changed. Let me zoom in here on this waveform. And let's see if it changed. Maybe what I'm seeing is there's another station over on the side there. Whoa, bleed. On the side there, bleeding in. But I'm, excuse me, I'm down to minus 20 or up to, depending on how you read it, I'm up to minus 20 on the signal level. I'm adjusting the antenna control, or the control marked antenna. And it appears from the numbers on the screen here, right here, that I made it even better, just slightly changing one of the controls. Okay, let's move on to 10 megahertz, which again, we got a lot of variables here. Excuse me. So now we're at 10 megahertz. We're going to bypass on the antenna tuner, and it it looks like it improved a little bit. That's probably because I don't have the settings on the antenna tuner set to what the antenna analyzer told me would give me the lowest SWR. So now I'm going to set that. So my chart says I need to change the inductor to 8, which is what excuse me, wrong. The inductor to G, I had it on C. So that's quite a bit of difference there. E, F, G. Okay, I didn't pay attention to what the readings were on the screen before I started. And the antenna we want to set to 6, which is about where we are. So right now, we're at about a minus 20 to 25. And the transmitter control to 8, which is about where it is. Okay. So I moved it slightly, and now I think it's about the same. Okay, now I think it's about the same. Now this is with the tuner. Oh, I didn't, okay, excuse me for making these mistakes. Now the tuner is in the circuit. Now that I've adjusted all the knobs on the tuner to what the antenna analyzer told me to do. And you can see that signal really improved. We're now less than minus 20 dBm. Again, that's a minus number, so we want it to get smaller. You can see from the waveform, the signal has gotten a lot stronger. So this is implying that using an antenna tuner on even a receiver will improve reception. Can I conclude that? I'm concluding that. What about you guys? So here we go. We're going to, I think I've optimized this. So now we're going to go to 15 megahertz. 15 megahertz. Okay, not getting much there. Of course, it is about 7:30 in the morning here in Florida. So I'm not going to get much on 15 megahertz, that high of frequency. But we'll see what we do. We're at minus 47. Now, again, and I'm in the bypass mode, I think. Wrong. I'm not in the bypass. I now am in the bypass mode. Didn't seem to make a whole lot of difference, maybe a little bit. But now I need to adjust the antenna tuner for this frequency. So I go to my 15 megahertz numbers, and the inductor I should set to H, which is right away from where I'm at. Okay, that's on H. And now I set the antenna to 6. And I set the transmitter to 9. Okay, not much improvement, but again, we don't have a very good signal to work with. So I'm going to adjust the antenna knob on the antenna tuner to see if it makes any difference. Oh, there it went down. No, that was temporary. I don't seem to be able to improve it significantly, maybe a little tiny bit. But of course, that signal is pretty weak, pretty weak. So can I conclude? Let me go get the chat. Why don't, oh, Manuel says, why don't you just use a signal generator to get actuality? Well, Manuel, the problem is I don't have one. My old cheapo signal generator was not that good to begin with. I tried it a few months ago, and I was getting, instead of just the signal I wanted, I was getting a whole bunch of spurious signals. So basically useless. You are correct. That would be the ideal way to do it, is use a signal generator that's giving me a constant signal out. Unfortunately, I don't have a good one, so I can't do that. Just, I have to go with the empirical data, which is to use the receiver itself to give me an indication. So it appears the antenna tube, now we're talking about receive only. It appears from this empirical data that the antenna tuner helped reception on at least 5 megahertz and 10 megahertz, where I did have a strong signal. At 15, I saw basically no effect, but I don't have much of a signal to work with. Now, the drawback is this antenna tuner is a manual tuner. So, and it requires that every time you change the frequency significantly, say half a megahertz or less, maybe 100 kilohertz, you have to readjust the antenna tuner to get the best improvement. So it's kind of a nuisance. Now, as I said before, for transceivers, they make automatic antenna tuners that will adjust the antenna tuner as you're tuning the frequencies, or as you're transmitting on various frequencies. When you transmit, it automatically adjusts to the lowest SDWR for that frequency. Can't really use one of those on a receive only radio. So if you have specific frequencies that you want to try to get your best chance at receiving, you can use an antenna tuner and then go through the process of finding what the settings are on the antenna tuner to give you the best signal. Oh, okay, Manuel, that'll be great. Thank you. Hey, local and DX radio. Okay, so that's my fairly crude empirical test. And to me, from this limited testing, I have concluded that an antenna tuner will help a shortwave receiver, but it's pretty tedious to use. So if you have any comments, please leave some comments. If you have any suggestions about the way I did this test, other than what Manuel said, which I have to agree with Manuel, I do need a signal generator, and I need it for many things in my shop here. And I've been looking on eBay, but eBay's pretty iffy, and I'm not that familiar with all the signal generators out there. So I really don't know what's a good one, what's a bad one. So I've kind of shied away from eBay. Okay, let me go over to the chat room. Whoops. That was interesting. Number 73 had a big message and it retracted it. I wonder what it said. No, it's gone now. Maybe he's going to repost it. So I think that's about it Oh, again, I did not record when I started. Oh, I was at 7:15. Okay, I've been going for just less than 30 minutes, and I think I've accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. Um, Again, I'll just reiterate what I was trying to do in this particular hangout. I was trying to see if using an antenna tuner, and let me switch back. Let me close this program down, and I'll stop sharing, and I'll turn the camera back on, hopefully. Yep, there's a camera. And so what I was trying to do in this video is verify or dispel the idea that an antenna tuner, such as this MFJ, would improve your shortwave reception significantly enough that you should go through the trouble of using it. And as I mentioned, the trouble is you've got three options here of what you've got to tune: the transmitter impedance, the antenna impedance, and the inductance to the antenna. And this limited test has shown me, at least, that it does, but it is kind of a pain to use it because you have to retune it virtually for every frequency you listen to. So that's the show. Thanks everybody for watching me live. Oh, okay, let me see what 73 said. Why don't you tune in a very weak signal and check if the reception actually improves? Using a huge signal as a test frequency is less interesting. I agree with you. And basically I did that, 73, because when I went to 15 megahertz, it was super weak. And so there I had a weak signal. It's WWV, so it is there. That's why I'm using WWV instead of a broadcast station, which could be there or not there, and it might go off the air right in the middle of my testing. So I did try that using when I was on 15 megahertz, and I couldn't significantly, from the visual that I was seeing, improve the signal. It maybe just a dBm or two, maybe. Manual had suggested that I use a signal generator. That's really the way to do this test. Unfortunately, I don't have a working signal generator. So that's where I'm at. I think I'm done. I appreciate everybody that came by. If you enjoyed this show, please give me a thumbs up. Oh, guess what? This is show number 959. And I've been doing giveaways at every 10th show on the road to my 1,000th show. So that means the next show, 960, will be a giveaway, and I'll be giving away some more books. So I'll get set up for that, and I'll probably do that not too late, maybe in 15, 20 minutes, depending on how long it takes me to get set up. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.